Hello, dear aspirants. I'm your educator, Pratiksha Chauhan on Arpita Sharma classes, the platform where you get quality lectures for your UPSC CSE preparation. We are going to cover important topics for public administration. Before we start, here is a small announcement for you. An Academy Compact, the most competitive gamified UPSC CSC battle held on 7th March 2021 11 am. Enroll now for free. Link is in the description box below the video. Use code ARPITA10 to unlock the Bless experience for free and start learning from the best. How to enroll in the quizzes for free? Download the Unacademy Learning app, register or sign in on the app, select the goal as UPSC CSC, click on the link above and then on enroll now. When prompted, please enter the code ARPITA10 to activate your free plan. Unacademy Compact is a battle to challenge thousands of learners and win exciting rewards and prizes. It's India's biggest weekly competition for UPSC CSC. Extensive quizzes with 6 rounds of 10 questions, each from economy, polity, environment, science and tech, geography and history. The questions are curated by Unacademy's best UPSC CSC educator. You will see a real-time leaderboard after every question to instantly know the answer you got right and know where you stand among other learners in India. Detailed video solution after every contest so that you get it right the next time. Don't miss this opportunity. Hurry up, enroll now. Today's topic for public administration is civil services, discipline and code of conduct. We will understand how discipline and code of conduct is important in the civil services officer's life. So let us discuss. First of all, we will discuss about the context. Why this is news? क्या है इसका context? Because Supreme Court decriminalized the act of adultery in the Joseph Stein and versus Union of India case. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने decriminalize मतलब लीगल किया एक्ट को ऑफ एडल्ट्री इन विच केस जोसेफ साइन वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया केस. That means decriminalize the act of adultery in the Joseph Stein versus Union of India case. Supreme Court does it. However, it is still not clear whether adultery is the right ground for department inquiries against civil servants or army officials. But it is even not clear right now also that adultery is even the right on the ground of like against civil servants or any army officials. Members of all India services are governed by a moral code of conduct. सो जो मेंबर्स होते हैं ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज के वो किसके द्वारा गवर्न किए जाते हैं बाय अ मॉरल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट. It requires them to maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty and do nothing which is unbecoming of a member of the service. What it requires? That requires two things. First, to maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty, that they should devote themselves to the duty and do nothing which is unbecoming of a member of the service. The term unbecoming conduct or unbecoming of a member of a service are not anywhere defined. जो ये दो terms हैं unbecoming conduct या unbecoming of a member of a service that are not defined anywhere. Okay, it leaves the scope for employers or disciplinary authorities to define them as their own understanding. ये लीव करता है कि जो एम्प्लॉयर्स या फिर डिसिप्लिनरी अथॉरिटीज होते हैं वो खुद से इस वर्ड को डिफाइन करें. It is the reason that there is a doubt where illicit or adulterous relations are covered under these definitions or not. This issue has become more prominent after Supreme Court decriminalized adultery in the Joseph Stein versus Union of India case. The center has filed an application for clarification with the Supreme Court that whether this judgment applies to armed forces or not. Okay, the matter has been referred to the constitutional bench. However, Justice Nariman made an observation while issuing the notice. He observed that even if the law is scrapped, the act of adultery will still be an unbecoming act. जो जस्टिस नरीमन थे उन्होंने ये ऑब्जर्व किया, ये ऑब्जर्वेशन दिया कि इवन जब लॉ स्क्रैप भी या फिर खत्म भी हो जाता है, जो एक्ट ऑफ एडल्ट्री है वो तब भी अनबिकमिंग कंडक्ट रहेगा. He observed that even if the law is scrapped, the act of adultery will still be an unbecoming act. Now, let us talk about code of conduct. A code of conduct is a set of rules and regulations that outline the standards, responsibilities, proper practices for an individual, party or organization. जो ये code of conduct होता है, ये एक set of rules और regulation होता है जो कि outline करता है standard को, responsibilities को, proper practices जो कि individual, party और organization के लिए होती हैं. Code of conduct for civil servants specify the clear principles as to what the government expects from its employee. जो कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट होता है सिविल सर्वेंट्स का, वो क्लियरली प्रिंसिपल्स को डिफाइन करता है दैट कि व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेक्टिंग फ्रॉम इट्स एम्प्लॉयज, दैट इज सिविल सर्वेंट्स. Conduct rules applies to both official and personal life of civil servants. As you are UPSC aspirants and you are going to become a civil servant in future, so that code of conduct applies to yours both official and personal life as a civil servant. Definition of code of conduct. Code of conduct is principles, values, standards or rules of behavior that guide the decisions, procedures and system of an organization in a way that contributes to welfare of its key stakeholder and respects the rights of all constituents affected by its operation. कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट जो होता है वो प्रिंसिपल्स को, वैल्यूज को, स्टैंडर्ड्स को, रूल ऑफ बिहेवियर को गाइड करता है जो कि डिसीजंस में, प्रोसीजर्स में, सिस्टम ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, जिससे कंट्रीब्यूशन हो सके वेलफेयर ऑफ इस की स्टेक होल्डर्स का और रिस्पेक्ट हो सके उनके राइट्स की जो कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स अफेक्टेड बाय इस ऑपरेशंस. Now come the salient features of the conduct rules in India. No government employee can engage in private trade or take up private employment without the previous sanction of the government, except in respect of the literary, scientific, artistic, social or charitable work. Even this should be of occasional nature and should not interfere with the government work. जो government employees होते हैं, they can't be engaged in private trade or in private employment except in respect of the literary, scientific, artistic, social or charitable work, but this should be also in occasionally and they should not interfere this type of work with government work. No government employee should make investment a highly speculative nature. He should not lend or borrow from anyone without the previous sanctioned government except for small interest free loans from close relatives and personal friends. Lending, borrowing with any person having official dealing with the government employee are completely prohibited. Means that government employment could not or should not make investment that is very highly speculative in nature. They should not lend or borrow from anywhere or any person without the previous sanction except for small interest free loans, that is from close relatives and personal friend, that is small interest free loans, that is from close friends and personal friends or close relatives. Lending, borrowing with any person having official dealing with the government employee, जो lending and borrowing होता है किसी भी person का, वो officially dealing with the government employee are completely prohibited. Every government employee is expected to conduct his financial affairs in such a manner to avoid habitual indebtedness or insolvency. No government employee can purchase or sell movable or immovable property above a particular value without the sanction of the government. Some cases the government has only to be informed. No government employee should ask for subscriptions for any organizations. The next salient features of conduct rules in India are: no government servant is expected to accept any gift which is not of trifling value with the previous sanction of the government. That means the government servant cannot accept gift that is of high rate or of high value or any type of gifts. And the exception The only exception is about receiving the gifts of reasonable value on some customary occasions. That is, of some customary occasion they can receive the gifts. These are the exceptions. That is only from close relations or friends. No government servant can give any interviews to radio, television, press, etc., nor shall he issue any public statement except in respect of literary, scientific, and artistic matters. That means the government servant can't give interview to radio, television, press, etc., nor he can't issue any public statement. In exceptions are in respect of literary, scientific, and artistic matters. They can give their views or interviews in this matters only. He should not say anything which is likely to embarrass the government. They are not allowed to share the views which can embarrass the government. The only political activities in which a government servant can take part is to exercise his right to vote, that too in a confidential matter. The political activity in which the government servant can take part, that is right to vote. He can only vote. That is also in confidential matter. He can neither seek elections to any legislature or a local body, nor can he take part in any election activities like canvassing, distribution of pamphlets, etc. Every government servant has to maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty at all times. No government servant is supposed to indulge in any act which is unbecoming of a government servant. This is an omnibus rule to take care of the official, private, and domestic conduct of government servants. Now let us understand the importance of code of conduct for civil servants. First is ensure consistent approach, responsibilities and making decisions. Second is civil servant special obligations, responsible for managing resources entrusted to them by the community. To work as per the guidelines enhances the efficiency of the democratic system. Now comes the disciplinary actions of the civil services. When conduct rules are violated, disciplinary actions is to be taken. When that the code of conduct rules are violated, that means violation is created regarding code of conduct rules, then disciplinary action is taken place. It usually means some kind of punishment meted out to government servant for the violation of these conduct rules. Punishment may be of two types. First punishment is informal punishment, that is more in the nature of warning and counseling. That informal punishment is like in warning and counseling. You have to remember this. This type of punishment is resorted to where the violation of conduct rule is of a very minor nature. That means that the violation is of very minor nature and when it is difficult to prove the guilt of the employee. Second punishment is formal punishment. This is more serious sort of punishment. This has got to be in writing and the guilt of the employee has to be established. Some documentary or oral evidence has to be of record towards any kind of formal punishment. Now formal punishment is also of two types, that is of minor punishment. Minor is like censure, withholding of increments, withholding of promotions, recovery of loss of government properties. Major punishments are reduction in rank, removal, dismissal, compulsory retirement. Now come the purpose of punishment. In case of the government employee, the punishment could have any of the following purpose. What are the purpose of punishment of the government employee? First is reformatory. The punishment is supposed to give a lesson to the employee not to repeat the same mistake in future. Means the reformatory punishment is like giving lesson to an employee. That means he or she will not repeat the same mistake in future. Second is deterrent. If an employee goes unpunished for his mistake, others may also become careless. Third is retributory. For bona fide mistake, the government may ignore the laws. However, in case of gross negligence, the government may require the laws to be made good. To that extent, the punishment is retributory in nature. In government organization, the main purpose of the punishment is deterrent. In extreme cases, the government has to resort to penalties like removal and dismissal. जो गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होता है उनका मेन जो पर्पस होता है पनिशमेंट का, दैट इज डिटरेंट. दे रेयरली imply that the main case is of deterrent. That is, deterrent is if an employee goes unpunished for his mistakes, others may also become careless. In extreme cases, it can be like resort to penalties like removal or dismissal. In such cases, the reformatory and retributive aspects become less important than deterrent one. Now, what is the procedure of punishment? The basic provisions for dealing with the disciplinary matters concerning the government employees are derived from Article 311 of the Constitution, which lays down. The punishment procedure is given in the Article 311 of the Constitution, which is no member of the civil service will be removed or dismissed by an authority subordinate to that by which he has appointed. Second is the cause for which action is being taken must be recorded in writing by the officer concerned. Third is no person shall be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank until he has been given a reasonable opportunity of showing cause against the action proposed to be taken in regard to him. Now let us discuss the procedure of punishment in brief manner. In minor penalties, the procedure is more detailed and comprehensive one and in many stages. जब माइनर पेनल्टीज होती है, जो प्रोसीजर होता है काफ़ी डिटेल और कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव में होता है, दैट इज डिफाइंड इन मेनी स्टेजेस. A charge sheet along with a statement of allegations has to be served into the employee. This has to comprise detailed statements containing explanation for each article of charge, along with a list of documents, witnesses who are to be relied upon to prove the charge. एक चार्ज शीट होती है along with the statement of allegation that is served to the employee, which comprises detailed statements containing explanation of each article of charge, जिसमें list of documents और witness who are to be relied upon the charge. उनके witness कौन कौन से वो define होता है. The employee has a right to submit his explanation on the charge sheet. जो एम्प्लॉय के पास एक राइट होता है जो कि ये होता है कि वो अपना चार्ज शीट पे एक्सप्लेनेशन दे सकते हैं. फॉर दिस पर्पस ही हैज टू बी शोन ऑल रिलेवेंट डॉक्यूमेंट्स एंड फाइल्स कंसर्निंग ऑल द आर्टिकल्स ऑफ द changes. After considering the charge sheet, statement of allegations and explanation of the employee, disciplinary authority has to record a finding whether there is a prima facie case to start an inquiry or whether the case is to be dropped. जब चार्ज शीट को कंसीडर कर लिया जाता है, स्टेटमेंट ऑफ एलिगेशन, एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ द एम्प्लॉय, डिसिप्लिनरी अथॉरिटी को रिकॉर्ड हो जाता है सब कुछ, तब ये होता है, इंक्वायरी होती है कि इस केस को आगे बढ़ाया जाए या फिर यहीं पे ड्रॉप कर दिया जाए. If the disciplinary authority comes to the conclusion that that inquiry has to be conducted, then it appoints an inquiry authority and directs the delinquent officer to present his case before the inquiry officer. He may also appoint a presenting officer to present the case before the inquiry officers. The inquiry officer records the statement of defense of the employee and records the evidence of the prosecution witness. The delinquent official has a right to cross-examine these witnesses. Now, the delinquent officer can then produce his witnesses, then can be cross-examine the inquiry officer or the presenting officer. जो delinquent officer होता है, that he can produce his witness that can be cross-examined by the inquiry officer or the presenting officer. The inquiry officer hears the delinquent official and gives him an opportunity to file his written statement of an account. Giving due consideration to all the material on record, the inquiry officer prepares his report. After each article of charge, he has to record his finding whether it is proved or not proof. मतलब जब कंसिडरेशंस हो जाते हैं, सारे रिकॉर्ड्स हो जाते हैं, तब इंक्वायरी ऑफिसर को एक रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करनी होती है जिसमें हर आर्टिकल के बाद एक रिकॉर्ड फाइंडिंग होती है जिसमें ये प्रूव करना होता है कि जो ये स्टेटमेंट प्रूव हुआ है या फिर नहीं हुआ, yes or no, it is not proved or proved. The disciplinary authority then considers the report of the inquiry officer and then record his own findings on each article of charge. He then makes available to the delinquent official a copy of the report of the inquiry officer and the statement of his own findings, asking him to show cause against the proposed penalty. If consultation with the Public Service Commission is necessary, the disciplinary authority makes such a consultation. After considering the entire material on record, including the reply of the delinquent official and advice of the Public Service Commission, the disciplinary authority passes an order imposing such penalty as he deems fit. Now comes the right to appeal. All the officers who are appointed in the central government by an authority subordinate to the president have a right to appeal to a specified authority. जो all officers हैं जो कि appointed हैं central government में by an authority subordinate to the president, they have a right to appeal to a specified authority. Those who are appointed by the president himself have no right to appeal. जो officers डायरेक्टली अपॉइंट होते हैं प्रेसिडेंट के द्वारा, उनके पास कोई भी राइट टू अपील नहीं होता है. दे हैव नो राइट टू अपील. सिमिलरली इन केस स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, द ऑफिसर्स अपॉइंटेड बाय अथॉरिटी सबऑर्डिनेट टू द गवर्नमेंट हैव अ राइट अपील to a specified authority. Those appointed by a governor have no right to appeal. Means in the case of a state government, the officers which are appointed by a authority which are subordinate of the governor, they have a right to appeal. Even in the case the officer is directly appointed by a governor, they have no right to appeal. First, we have already discussed that the person or the officer which is directly appointed by the president, they have no right to appeal, and in the case of directly appointed by the government, they have no right to appeal. The appellate authority may uphold, set aside or modify the order of the disciplinary authorities or remand the case for further inquiry. An appeal can be withheld by the disciplinary authority for following reasons: if it is time barred, if it is against the rules, if it is not in the proper form and does not contain the requisite information and documents, if it is a repetition of previous appeals which have been rejected. Now, regarding the disciplinary proceedings, the employees complain that the disciplinary proceedings are weighted against them because they are all along handled by the departmental officers. जो disciplinary proceedings हैं वो काफ़ी weightage के हैं against them because they are handled by departmental officers. Even the right of appeal does not have much value because the appeal are also handled by the officers of the same department. The appeals are withheld very often without proper reasons. At all levels, there is a great delay in proceedings. Now, there are some committee on code of conduct for civil servants in India. First is Committee on Prevention of Corruption, that is Santham Committee 1964. Recommended a set of conduct rules. Salient features of recommendations are: conduct rules, particularly those relating to integrity, should be uniform. जो conduct rule है वो जो कि relate कर रहे हैं integrity से, वो uniform होने चाहिए. They should be of uniform. Suggested that values like altruism and empathy for the poor are hard to imbibe after joining the services. These need to be instilled in childhood through various institutions like family, school, etc. Second committee is Hota Committee Report 2004. Code of ethics should be laid down for the civil servants to imbue the values of integrity, merit, and excellence in public service. Now comes the second Administrative Reforms Commission. In 10th report pertaining the values and ethics of civil services in India, recommended drafting a bill on ethics to give code of ethics a statutory basis in the form of civil services bill. जो कि 10th रिपोर्ट थी which pertains the value and ethics of civil service in India, recommended a drafting bill on ethics which give code of ethics a statutory basis. In which form? The form of Civil Services Bill. The commissions recommended that in addition to upholding the constitutional spirit, the civil servants shall be guided by the following values. The values are adherence to the highest standard of integrity and conduct, impartiality and non-partnership, dedication to public services, empathy and compassion towards the weaker sections. Now comes the Nolan Committee. 1994, the Committee on Standards in Public Life, famously known as the Nolan Committee, was set up in the UK to advise on the ethical standards in the public life. The 7 principles of public life given by the Nolan Committee are as follows. They have given the 7 principles of public life, which are as follows. Selflessness. Public officials should act slowly in terms of public interest. They should not seek any personal gains out of the public position they hold. Means they should not have any personal gain which can affect their position or out of public position they hold. Integrity and obligation to a person or organization must be avoided by a public officer which can influence them in performing their official duties. The next is objectivity. The official decisions taken must be impartial, fair and on merit, utilizing the best evidence available and without any prejudice. Other principles by Nolan Committee are accountability. Public officials are ultimately accountable to the public. To ensure this is necessary that they are open to any scrutiny. Openness, the decision must be taken in a transparent manner. All the information should be disclosed to the public unless the law forbids it. Honesty, the public officer should be truthful and honest towards their duties and responsibility. Leadership, the holders of public office must uphold these principles in their behavior and lead by example. These principles form the cornerstone of a public service or a public office, and many countries have embodied these principles through various means like the constitution, laws, service codes, etc. Now comes the rules for code of conduct for civil servants in India. United Nations has formulated a code of conduct for public officials by its resolution 58/4 of 31st October 2003. The code of conduct states that each state party shall promote integrity, honesty and responsibility among its public officials in accordance with the fundamental principles of its legal system. Code of conduct, it states that each party shall promote what? Integrity, honesty and responsibility among public officials in accordance with the fundamental principles in its legal system. In India, the current set of ethical norms are the conduct rules contained in the Central Service Conduct Rules 1964, the All India Service Conduct Rule 1968, All India Service Conduct Amendment Rules 2014. Now comes the means answer writing. Here's the question for you for the means answer writing, that is administrative ethic includes the code of conduct of civil servants but goes beyond it as well. Discuss it. It is an UPSC 2017 question. Write in 150 words. So write this question. Hope you understand this lecture. Thank you.